my name is Guillaume Garcin, and I am Product Marketing Manager for Project and Visio in the UK at Microsoft. I've been working with Microsoft since the last 4 years, and I moved to the UK in 2011. Today, I have the chance to present this webinar with Baz Kinda. Baz is a Microsoft PPM consultant, and he works for a gold PPM partner called Wellington. Baz, would you mind to give us a brief introduction of yourself, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much, Guillaume. So again, my name's Baz Kinda. I'm a Microsoft PPM consultant, and I've been working with the Microsoft Project Server solution set since the 2007 release. And in my day-to-day role, I really help organizations get the most out of their investment either in Microsoft Project Online or Microsoft Project Server. Prior to working with Project Server, I actually used to work as a project manager within the PMO of a FTSE 100 organization. Back to you, Guillaume.
Thank you, Baz. Today, we will present to you why projects fail and how to increase your project success with Microsoft Project. We will share with you a few project management trends and as well the most common daily project management pains. We will also spend some time to present you the benefits of Microsoft Project, and we will share some customers' feedback. Then Baz will spend time in a live product demo, and I will finish this presentation with some new features in the Microsoft Project roadmap with some of the most exciting features for Project Online. As Nathaniel told you, we will have up to 20 minutes at the end of this webinar to reply to your questions. So please share all your questions in the question box in the appropriate window. As well, after this call, indeed, you will receive a survey from the APN with the opportunity to get in contact with us. If you are interested, we will offer you a 30-day trial of Project Online, and Wellington will offer you a free consultancy as well. So I really hope this webinar will be interesting for you, and let's start now with Baz.
Thank you very much, Guillaume. So as mentioned, I'm going to start off by looking at a variety of project management trends and statistics before moving on to a live demo shortly. So let's look at innovation first of all. Now, innovation is something that's often described as being crucial to the ongoing success of any organization. However, what research shows us is that very few companies actually have an innovation strategy in place. And by an innovation strategy, what I'm really talking about is a systematic way through which they're going to capture ideas. Now, why should you be highly innovative? Why should you have an innovation strategy in place? It's because organizations that are tend to achieve much higher growth rates over a 5-year period. So once the ideas have been captured, we move on to business case development. And as part of that, what organizations should look to do is actually align projects to corporate or strategic goals. However, research again shows us that very few organizations actually do that. And from our own personal experience, we see a lot of organizations pushing through what we would call pet projects. But why should you be highly aligned? It's because organizations that are, again, achieve much higher growth rates over a 5-year period. So once the business cases are done and the projects are approved, you move through to execution. And it's in execution, again, that you see a large number of projects failing. And that's primarily due to a breakdown in communications. Organizations, on the other hand, that have got effective communications in place tend to see an increase in the number of projects being completed on budget. So sticking with statistics, let's have a look at a few more. 2/3 of CIOs from top-performing organizations see collaboration as key to driving innovation. Now, obviously, if you can't have conversations, if you can't collaborate, you can't share your ideas. The workplace itself is also changing. More and more employees are now working from multiple locations during the work week, which poses a variety of collaboration issues, which can also result in a loss in productivity as well. On the flip side, organizations that invest in enterprise social networks, so technologies such as SharePoint, Yammer, or Link, do see an increase in project collaboration. And as we saw on the previous slide, there's a direct link between project collaboration and an increase in the number of projects being completed on budget. So I've got one more slide to share with you with some stats on there. So here are the findings of a survey that was published by the Centre for Business Practices a few years ago. So they went out and they surveyed a range of organisations ranging from small SMEs right the way to large multinationals. And the biggest pain point that all of these organisations face is an inconsistent approach to how projects are being managed. And what we tend to see is a lot of organisations will go out, they will spend quite a bit of money on training, defining new methodologies, but what they then find is that it's very hard to get project managers to adhere to them, not unless they've got a solution like Microsoft Project Online in place. Otherwise, project managers go off and they will continue managing projects however they want to. And when they manage however they want to, they also then tend to report back quite subjectively as well. Number two, we've got resource management, another very big pain point. And to be honest, I've lost count of how many times I've been into some very large organizations, and all they seem to use to track their resources are spreadsheets. Spreadsheets which are disjointed to the schedule, so any changes in the schedule, they need to be reflected in the resource pool. It takes a lot of manual effort to bring everything up to date. Spreadsheets, again, I already mentioned that they're very labor intensive to keep up to date, but they can't help answer questions like, what would happen if we took on another 5 projects next month? Do we have enough .NET developers available? Questions like that, you can probably answer them, but it will take quite a bit of updating of the spreadsheet to get there. And number 3, we've got strategic alignment. Otherwise, really, what we're talking about is too many of the wrong projects. Now, at a time where organizations are cutting back budgets, they're reducing headcount, you really need to start demonstrating the merit of running certain projects. What's the return on investment? What is the strategic alignment? That's something that organizations are starting to look at more and more. Last but not least, project visibility, by which I mean not many organizations have a centralized viewpoint of every single project that's running either across the organization or even within, let's say, a specific department. Generally, anytime that view is produced, it tends to be the result of some poor sell, possibly the guy that's in the picture right now, but somebody like that sitting down on a Friday afternoon, spending hours manually consolidating all of the data into a report which is presented. Now, the chances are, because lots of data has been pulled together and it's taken some time to do, the data is going to be out of date. And the problem for the people that want to consume the data is that they don't have access to the information in real time at the click of a button, which is often what they really, really want. So as we've seen, there's quite a few pain points that exist that affect project managers and organizations that are trying to run projects. So Microsoft have been developing the Microsoft PPM solution set for the last 28 or so years. So what really started off back in 1987 as a solution for individual project managers, which many of you are probably familiar with. Today what we have is a full end-to-end project and portfolio management solution that's a market-leading solution. And it's now also available for you to deploy either in the cloud as part of Office 365, or it's something that you can deploy on-premise. So as you can see, there's a lot of history behind Microsoft PPM, and there's a long-term roadmap in place as well, and that's something that Guillaume's going to be covering off a bit later on today. So let's now reflect on some of the benefits that are available. And the benefits you're about to see, they're available in both Project Online and Project Server 2013. Now, just to explain the difference, Project Online and Project Server 2013, they are pretty much the same solution. The difference being that Project Online is available in the cloud as part of Office 365, whilst Project Server 2013 is a solution that you would deploy on-premise. So on the slide, what you're seeing are a range of user types that you would typically find in an organization. Now, for each user type, what you see is a list of benefits that they can each receive by using Microsoft PPM. Now, I would normally go into the benefits here and start talking about them, but I'm going to be covering pretty much all of them during the live demonstration. So I'm going to skip over this slide, and instead we're going to delve straight into some of the components that make up Microsoft PPM. Now, the first point that I'll probably make is that Microsoft PPM is really a centralized repository where you would store all project-related data. So whether that's your risk and issue logs, whether it's your schedule, whether it's your resource information, your reporting, your documentation, it's all held centrally within Microsoft PPM, which obviously refers to Project Online and Project Server 2013. As you can see, represented by the tiles, there's a wide array of components and features that you get with Microsoft PPM. And typically when organizations look to roll this solution out, they probably wouldn't roll out every single feature on day one. So some organizations would most likely look at their biggest pain points, and based upon that, we would guide them and say, well, let's look at addressing scheduling management. Let's get the enterprise resource pool set up. Let's automate some of your reporting. That's phase one. Phase two could see the rollout of portfolio analytics and selection, time reporting, and maybe some financial management as well. But again, something that a point that I wanted to make there was that certainly any implementation of Microsoft PPM, it's absolutely scalable. And what we're going to see on the next slide is a collection of customers that are using Microsoft Project Online and Project Server. Before I get on to that, the core solution is built around Microsoft Project, which is the leading desktop scheduling solution that's used around the world. And many of you on this webinar today are probably familiar with Microsoft Project, and there are over 20 million users worldwide. Getting back to the clients that we see on the screen right now, as diverse as they all are, the only thing that they all have in common is the fact that they all manage projects, and secondly, they're all using Microsoft PPM to manage their projects with. I mentioned on the previous slide that the implementation of Microsoft Project PPM, it's scalable, but it's also scalable in terms of user base as well. So speaking from personal experience, the smallest implementation that we've ever done was for actually quite a large pharmaceutical company who wanted to roll this out in a particular department, and they literally had 6 users. They had 1 project manager and 5 team members managing, I think it was 10 strategic projects annually. On the other side, one of our clients, Post Office, where we implemented Microsoft Project Server, they're currently sitting at around 1,100 users, so it's very, very scalable. And talking of customers, I've got some customer feedback to share with you now, and here we're looking at Allied Bakeries. These are clients of ours, and before I go into the detail of it, let me highlight the URL at the bottom of the page, because we do have a full 2-page case study. In fact, we've got a video case study for Allied Bakeries as well on our website, so if you want to make a note of that URL. So when Allied Bakeries came to us, they were looking to get a streamlined solution that would be a one-stop shop for all of their project needs. And this is often a common requirement, because typically what we find when we engage with new clients is that they're using a variety of systems, a lot of disparate systems to manage their projects. They're probably managing a schedule using Microsoft Project, they're probably using an Excel spreadsheet to track their resources, and they're probably using a separate finance system as well. So one of the things that Project Online and Project Server provide is really a single version of the truth. Everyone's working on the same data, and you're effectively removing islands of data. You've got a single version of that data. Allied Bakeries were also managing a multi-million-pound portfolio of projects. So one of the things they were desperate to do was actually reduce the risk on that portfolio. So that's something that they've managed to do by deploying Microsoft Project Server. And last but not least, it's a point that I've already made actually, everything is now centralized. But another thing that they wanted to do was actually increase project visibility, which again is something that they've managed to tick off. This is the last slide that I'm going to look at really before I move on to the demo, and I'm not going to go into any detail here, but this case study looked at Coventry and Warwickshire NHS Trust. Again, we've got this case study available for you on our website, so please make a note of that URL, and you can go and read that in your own good time. So that brings us now to the live demonstration. So I'll be providing a high-level overview of Office 365 and some of the collaborative capabilities that exist within Project Online. But I'm also going to be showing you specifically how you would go about creating brand new projects, how we would prioritize projects, how we will manage our resources, and we'll obviously have a look at reporting as well. So again, if you've got any questions, please use the Q&A panel that you've got available, and we will be looking at any questions that come through in the last 20 minutes or so of the session. So the webinar, the demonstration that I'm going to provide now, it is going to be pretty high level. There's a lot of functionality that we could cover off today, but really what we're aiming to do is to give you a bit of a taster, and there's a wide library of resources available on the Microsoft website and also on our website as well, should you want to discover more. And there is also an option at the end for you to sign up to a trial or to get a more bespoke detailed demonstration as well. So if I switch over to my environment, so what you can see right now is the home page to Office 365. This is pretty much what you would get when you first sign up to the service. So along the top, we're being prompted to install Office, which we're going to ignore for now. But along the bottom, what you see are a series of tiles that you would click through to go through to the respective apps. So certain apps that we will look at today include tasks. We're going to have a look at Power BI later for reporting. Guillaume's going to be covering Dells, I think, at a very high level a bit later during the future roadmap. The app that we're concerned with right now is really Project Online. So I would normally click that, but used to say, Tom, I've already opened up a series of tabs along the top used to guide us through. What you're looking at now on the screen is the home page to Project Online. And indeed, the home page to Project Server 2013 actually looks the same, and I will be showing you that in just a moment as well. So along the top, what you get are a series of tiles to get you started with Project Web App. So if you're brand new to Project Online, you click on that tile, and that will guide you through, really, and give you some more information on Project Online, some of the feature sets that are available. You can download Project Pro for Office 365, which again is the same as Project Professional 2013. There are a variety of tools there used to get you started, including one for branding, which we're going to be touching upon in just a few moments as well. Along the bottom, what you've got are some dynamic live tiles to enable you to track your work. So you would see a project tile, which will take you through to what's called the Project Center view, which is where you can get quite a bit of project visibility, and we'll have a look at that in the next few minutes. Approvals, so again, these are dynamic tiles. It's something that I've got no approvals to look at this moment. But if I was a project manager, I would be seeing tasks coming through to me for approval there. If I am, let's say, a PMO manager and there's a stage gate approval linked into a workflow, again, I would be notified about that there as well. I'm being told that I've got 8 new tasks assigned to me, and there's a reporting tile there as well. On the left-hand side, what you get is something called the Quick Launch area. This is really, it's just one of the key menus within Project Online and Project Server that gives you access to the most commonly used sections within the environment, and that's pretty much consistent throughout the site. I did mention that I was going to show you an example of something that's been customized. So this is what you get out of the box. This is not touched. We've not configured this at all. But with a tiny bit of configuration, you can actually change the look and feel to quite an extent. So here we can see, for example, we've added a logo. We've got additional tiles being displayed as well. So here we can see the task tile that we saw on the previous screen. But here we can see timesheets, issues and risks coming through as well. But there are other tiles that you could choose to add to this as well. We've added a background image as an example. We've also added 2 web parts to the bottom. The first one provides direct links into the project sites, which is something that I'm going to be going on to in the next few minutes. And we've also got an announcement section there as well. So this is the kind of thing that you can do with a bit of customization. And in fact, we used to work with a large cosmetics firm, and the look and feel of our environment, it's very pink, it's very different to what you've just seen. So again, there's a lot of power at your fingertips to change the way that it looks. So what I want to do now is show you how you would go about creating a brand new project. So that's one of the key things to do in the system. Rather than doing it in standalone Project Professional, you would always do that through Project Web App. So if I click on this tile here, Create or Import Project, what we're going to see are a collection of what we would call enterprise project types. Now, enterprise project types are one of the key benefits that Project Online and Project Server provide, because they help give you a great deal of consistency in how projects are managed. So an enterprise project type, it's always bespoke, and any time we work with an organization, we would always define what types of projects they're running. So we've got some example ones here. So if you imagine you're in an IT department, there's a software development project type, there's an infrastructure project type, and so forth. So an EPT will contain within it a project schedule for that type of project. So it will already have within it the phases that you would expect to go through, the tasks, the durations, but we can also wrap around it workflow. Workflow to guide the project manager through the life cycle to ensure that they're providing the right level of detail at the right time. But at the same time, we can wrap around that governance. So that, let's say at the end of a stage gate, you can submit your project off for review and approval by the PMO or the senior board. So there's a lot you can do. But if I select Enterprise Project, that's what we're going to start off now. If I click Next, what you're going to see is what's called a project detail page. So it's an electronic form, and these are, again, completely bespoke, completely tailorable. We can make certain fields mandatory, so there's a red asterisk there against name, such as single-line field, multi-line field. You can specify who the owner is of a project, so who's the project manager. You can select from a list in the Enterprise Resource Pool. We've also got project departments, and the reason I'm going to show you this is because we can use what are called lookup tables, where people can select from predefined values. And the reason you would want to do this is really to increase the consistency of how data is entered, especially when slicing and dicing of that information is going to be required later on for reporting purposes, let's say. If I cancel out that, we're not going to finish that project off right now, so I'm just going to cancel out. And I'm going to go through to the Project Center. So the Project Center is one of the key sections, again, within Project Online and Project Server, and it's where you get a great deal of visibility of your project portfolio. So at the moment, I'm seeing a few projects grouped by which region they're sitting in. There are various indicators there showing me that there are risks and issues associated with certain projects. I can see various red, amber, green indicators for a variety of KPIs. And if you look at project health, that's actually linking back to the schedule. And what we're doing there is we're comparing the original baseline of a project to the subsequent updates that have been made by the project manager and the team members to the tasks. And we're looking for any shift that's taken place. And any shift that has taken place, it's automatically giving the project an overall green, amber, or red indicator. So a lot of this is very objective, which is very, very good. If I just expand out, you can see that there are a variety of other columns available. And on the right-hand side, there's a very high-level Gantt view as well. But this isn't the only view that's available. That's just an example view. If I click on the top, you can see that there are cost views and value views. But again, these are just some of the out-of-the-box views. You can actually create as many views as you want to. And often we will have clients creating client views, views where you're slicing and dicing by sponsor, by department, by location. There's really no limit to how many views you can create, and that's something that's quite easy to do. Something that I'll show you very quickly along the top is something called the timeline view. So the timeline view is, again, it's something that you can tailor. You can choose to add projects to it or to add certain tasks. So I've done that here. I've added 2 projects. I've changed the colors on them because that, again, is something that you can customize. And I've added a milestone. So again, that's a very, very useful view, especially if you're a project manager and you want to see all of your projects, or likewise if you're a program manager and you want to see a very quick representation of your program. You've also got the ability to drill down into the projects from here as well. So if I click into the general ledger project, what we see is a summary holding page for that particular project. Now along the top we can see a graphical representation of the life cycle of the workflow itself. And we can see exactly where we are at this given time. And further down, we can see which sections need to be completed as part of this stage. So there are a couple of forms that we need to complete, but I've also got access to the schedule as well. If I just expand out further down, you can see that there's a further breakdown of a workflow as well. So you see ticks against the items have been completed, and that was the summary holding page for that particular project. You've also got a view where you can drill down into the schedule. So if you remember back to the Project Center, we were seeing a very high-level view of a project. But what you can do, and this is all, again, within the browser. I'm not even in Project Professional yet, but this is within the browser. I can see a complete breakdown of the schedule. I can see all of the columns that I would ordinarily see in Project Professional. And should I want to, I could start going into the ribbon toolbar, and I could say that I want to edit this either in the browser, or I can open this up automatically in Microsoft Project. But again, if I want to edit and start adding new tasks, taking tasks away, adding resources, I can do a lot of things right here in the browser, which is very, very straightforward to use. Sticking to what we have in the Project Center, you've also got here a Gantt chart view again, but this is something that just adds really to the power that the project managers have here in the browser. And you're not limited to views, you've got a range of views available to you. So resource views, task views, assignment views, cost views, again, a lot of power within the browser. So that was the schedule itself. One of the key components of any project to really aid collaboration is something called a project site. The project site is something that you can access using the quick launch here, so I see a link there to the project site. But you also see a project site link there in the ribbon toolbar. So I would be able to click onto that and to go into the project site, but I've already actually opened one up, and that's exactly what you're looking at right now. So along the top we see a very high level web part showing us how many tasks are falling behind, and I could click through on that and I'd be able to see exactly which tasks are falling behind, who's working on them, and in fact another collaboration feature that we've not got switched on today, but for organizations out there using Microsoft Link, anytime you see a resource name like Alex, you would actually be able to see if Alex was online and you'd be able to start conversing straight away. We've also got a news feed here at the bottom that you could use to start using, well, to initiate conversations. But what certain clients are starting to do is actually integrating project sites with Yammer. So any organizations out there currently using Yammer, what you've got the ability to do is actually to create project groups, and you can then integrate those to your project sites as well. Another key area of a project site is the fact that you can upload your documentation here, and you can have your risk and issue logs here as well. So this, again, is a basic, out-of-the-box project site as you would expect to get when you sign up to Office 365. With a tiny bit of customization, you can enhance them to quite an extent. So this, again, is a project site, but this is one that we've been customizing. So that's the project name, GoPro module, and along the top we see another web part. But this web part, as well as showing us late tasks, shows us upcoming tasks, which we would have got on the other screen as well if we had any upcoming tasks. But if I scroll through, you can see that we've added a timeline component to this as well. We've also changed the navigation on the side. We've actually created a full RAID log library there, so risks, issues, actions, decisions. We've also added an area where the project manager can provide regular updates on the project and provide a subjective view of how they perceive the project to be running. And all of this information that you see is what feeds then things like the highlight reports as well. On here we've also added critical issues, risks, documents, and recently uploaded project reports as well. Right, back to the site. So if I go back to that particular project, I wanted to show you another type of project detail page. So earlier when I created a brand new project using an enterprise project type, I had a basic project detail page in electronic form. Now let's talk about strategic alignment. And this is the form where you would start doing this. So on this form, what you see are a series of what we would call business drivers, so expanding into new marketing segments, improving customer satisfaction score. Now for each one of these drivers, you can see that there's a scaling matrix in place so that the project manager can go through and relate, you know, does this particular project relate to this particular driver to an extreme level or not at all. So this is the type of form that you would typically complete, which would facilitate project prioritization and strategic alignment. So once you've completed this form, you would normally hit submit, and that would then fire off for selection. What I've actually done is I've already opened up the portfolio analysis part of Project Online, which is what we're looking at right now. I have skipped a few steps, but again, today is just a bit of a taster. There are more in-depth demos available. We've actually got a video that we use to demonstrate this functionality in greater detail that you've got access to on YouTube. But there's a wide variety of resources on the Microsoft website as well, including a very detailed white paper on the topic of project prioritization using Project Server. So once you've completed that form that we had a look at, so this form here, once you've completed it, what this portfolio analysis component is able to do is able to take all of the projects that you've selected for a particular analysis and it ranks them in order of priority based upon how they've been ranked against certain drivers. So that's one level of analysis. We can also analyze by cost. And if I click on Analyze by Cost, what you're seeing here is a list of the entire portfolio. So the entire portfolio is in there, and there is a requirement for the plans to be cost and resource loaded. But this is looking at all of the information and saying to do the entire pool of projects, it's going to cost just over $22 million, which means that we'd be able to run 31 projects, and we would, of course, achieve 100% strategic value. We've also got some very useful reports like this down here as well. So light blue bars represent how important a certain driver is, whereas the dark blue bar shows us the proposed spend against that driver. So expanding into new marketing segments, it's very important. You might say we're underspending. Improving customer satisfaction score, it's not that important, but we are spending a lot of money against it. So that was the analyzing cost screen. You can play with this. So let's say we don't have $22 million. We've got $15 million. I can put that figure in. I can hit recalculate. And when I do that, what you're going to see is certain projects will, based upon a very complex algorithm in the background, certain projects will be deselected. And you're going to see that popping up any second now. And here we are. Here we can see that the number of selected projects dropped from 31 to 23. We're going to get less strategic value. But if I collapse these selected projects, pardon me, you can see that we've actually got a number of projects that have now been unselected. We have here got an option to force projects back in. And it might be that as an organization you've got to run certain projects because of regulatory reasons, as an example. So that's something you can absolutely force back in. So if I do force back in, hit recalculate again, and what you see now is that project's been forced back in, but another project's obviously been forced down. So that was a very quick look at how that particular area works. I'm just going to go back to the baseline. In fact, one point that I was going to make was once you have created multiple scenarios, you can save them and you can compare them to one another as well. But once you've fine-tuned how you're going to spend your money, the next thing you need to look at is your resource pool. Do we have enough resources to do all of the projects that we've selected to run? So on that previous screen, it was saying that we were going to run 31 projects. But this screen is saying now, well, based upon your resource pool and how many resources you have available, you can only actually run 24 of those projects. Now, in the same way as the previous screen, I can actually type into here and I can say, well, what if I had another 5 resources? I could do that. I could hit recalculate, and I could then look at a variety of reports which would show me which resources are being recommended for hire that would benefit which projects. There are also other views here as well which show you in which months you've got a shortfall in a particular type of resource that's hindering the progress of certain proposed projects. So that was a very quick look at portfolio analysis. I'm going to move now swiftly on to the resource center. So this, again, was one of the key pain points that many organizations encounter. So let's have a look at how we can address this particular issue. So here we've got the centralized enterprise resource pool. I'm currently viewing all of my resources, but as with many of the other screens that you see in Project Online, there's a variety of views available. So I've already selected 4 individuals. I've got Bonnie, Glenn, Michael, and Robert already selected. And if I want to see exactly what they're working on, I'm going to click on Resource Assignments, and that will show me a list of all of the projects that they've been assigned to, and specifically which tasks they've been assigned to as well. So here I can see Bonnie, the project names, and which tasks, and I can collapse that, and I can see Glenn, and I can see everyone basically. And we've also got a Gantt chart view there on the right-hand side. If I want to see this in more of a graphical form, I can click through to the resource availability chart. And when I do that, we get presented with this out-of-the-box report. So there's a key representing all of our selected resources. There's a variety of view options that we can set as well. And the black line that you see here represents the capacity for the selected individuals. And all this white space below the black line shows us time where resources are or should be available for project work but have not been assigned anything. So we're getting a great deal of visibility there, and we can also see this information in text format, table format further down. You've also got the ability to export this to Excel. Some of the other out-of-the-box resource management views include assignment work by project. So the graph has pretty much remained unchanged, but we're not looking at resources now. We're looking at which projects are using those resources. And again, there's a variety of view options there, which unfortunately we're not going to cover on today. But again, there are some very detailed materials available on the Microsoft website, which go into describing that in a great depth detail. The last view that I'm going to show you is remaining availability. It's a very basic view, but it's a very powerful view. So a bar that's going up shows you availability that a resource has. A bar that's flatline shows you that a person's fully utilized. A bar that's coming down is showing you that somebody who's severely overworked. So that was the resource center. I'm going to cut across very quickly to project professional, to continue with resource management. So this is project professional. I've got a variety of resources assigned to my various tasks. Really, the view that I want to show you here is the Team Planner view. So if I click on Team Planner, we get this visual representation of all of the work that resources have been assigned, either in this project or other projects. So I can see all of my resources on the left-hand side. They're all flagged as being red at the moment because, unfortunately, we're all over-allocated. In this calendar view that you see, the blue items represent tasks within this particular project. You can also see these ghosted out areas which show you other projects and commitments. And you can double click on those areas and we will actually be able to see exactly which projects these individuals are working on. You can also click and drag things around. So this particular task, to identify training delivery methodology, if I want to reschedule this or reallocate, I can click and drag it around and I'll be able to do that. But if I do then drop it, you see that everything else moved out as well because it's still maintaining the dependencies. Now, there's the other thing here is anything that you're doing in the Team Planner view, it's not actually affecting anything in the real world, not until you decide to publish the project back to Project Online. This, for now, is basically a sandpit. So that was resource management. We're going to now go on to reporting. Now, for those of you using Project Professional or Project Standard 2010 or below, this will be quite nice because reporting is one of the major enhancements in Microsoft Project Professional 2013 and Project Pro for Office 365. So there's a variety of reports available out of the box. If I click on Project Overview, you can see that the reports now are very visual, very well presented as well. And just to show you another example, cost is always a popular topic. So there we've got cost reports and we've got milestone reports and there's a whole heap of other reports also available. But I'm going to go back to my browser environment very quickly and just to show you a few things still. So where you've got more reporting coming your way, that's what we're going to look at right now. So reporting we're going to have a look at through Power BI. So Power BI is a relatively new offering from Microsoft. It's based on Excel, but it's very, very powerful. So there's an example report, but some of the nice little reports I'm going to get onto now. So the reports with Power BI, they're very visual and they're also interactive as well. In fact, whilst that is refreshing, that's just loading up, I'm also going to show you shortly how you would go about doing time entry. So here's Power BI. Power BI is back up. It just timed out because the browser had been open for quite some time. The data changed in the background. So Power BI reports are very interactive. They're very visual. And here you can see a representation of all the projects taking place by department. You can drill down. If I want to have a look at all the projects within IT, I click on IT and all the tables update. If I want to have a look at all the projects again, just click away and there we go. A health overview, a key report within this example that I've got. If you want to have a look at all the projects that are red, click on the red indicator and again the tables update. If you want to interrogate a particular project, you can do that. Click onto a particular project portfolio into a particular city and that will show you all the project health in that particular area. If I go to the overview, you've got a general overview of the average amount of return on investment these projects are providing, total cost of the entire portfolio, but again, you've got the ability to drill down. And that's exactly what I've done there by clicking on the Dynamics CRM project. You've also got the ability to ask natural language questions. So for those of you who don't have much reporting expertise or knowledge, you can come into Power BI and you might say, show me all of the projects by city. So I've done that, press enter. and I get the information presented back to me in table format. I can also choose to look at that information on a map. And if I play with some of the filters here, you'll be able to see that the map will show me very quickly all the projects and where they're occurring in the world. So for global organizations, a very, very powerful feature. But this is something that could be used on a national basis, but this can actually have a range of applications. If you want to group all your projects by risk rating, you can do that as well. So all the projects that are high risk rating, low risk rating, and medium risk rating. One area that I do want to show you very quickly that will literally take about a minute is task reporting. So I'm going to go into the timesheet. So time reporting, collaboration, it's very, very key. So here I've got a timesheet view. There are other views that are also available. You don't have to have full-blown timesheets, but it's something that Project Online and Project Server certainly can provide. Here I can see the projects that I've been assigned to, the tasks that I'm due to work on, and how many hours of work have been planned for me. I can also provide my actual updates through there, submit them back to the project managers and the timesheet managers as well. I can also drill down into the tasks, and by drilling down I get a lot more information around the tasks. So I'm going to show you this very quickly, but I'm going to show you how you can actually use the Tasks app in Office 365 as well. So along the top you get some general details around the task itself, remaining work, start, finish date. You get to see attachments, and you can see if there's an associated risk here. There are also other people assigned to this work. There are there's a much wider project team in place as well. I can see which tasks are due to take place before I can start my work, and likewise I can see which work needs to finish, when I need to finish by, because there's work that's dependent upon me doing that on time. And again, link presence, if you have that set up, you'll be able to see if these individuals were online. You can also report back on tasks by going into the Office 365 app, which is Tasks. And on here, you literally see a list of all of your tasks, quite a few that are overdue. And you've also got the ability not only to see your tasks, but also to provide updates as well. So if I click on Edit, you can see that I would be able to provide actual updates into the field. But that really concludes the demonstration from myself for now. Again, that was a bit of a taster. There's a lot more to Project Online and Microsoft PPM. So please do check out the resources. And some of the links will be provided on the final slide. But Guillaume, over to yourself.
Thank you very much, Baz. What a great demo of Microsoft Project. So let's spend now the next 5 minutes to see some of the new features included in the Microsoft Project roadmap. Beforehand, I would like to talk to you about the Microsoft vision for project. And historically, project management has been the core of Microsoft Project, and we want to provide the project managers the best set of tools to allow them to deliver their projects on time and at cost. Then comes portfolio management that we started to implement with Project Server 2010. Here, we want to give the organizations the best tools in order to make decisions from new project ideation to selection. And we continue to make lots of improvements around portfolio management with Project Online and Project Server 2013. And there's now a new area that we want to invest in heavily in the next couple of months, which is around the work management. In the most simplest term, work management is all about providing to the information workers and project teams just the information that they need about their projects in order to deliver their deliverables in a more efficient way. Work management helps as well the team collaboration. And finally, what's important for us is to make sure that we deliver a unified solution across work, project, and portfolio management across any device that you want to use. But let's have a look now more in details about the work management. As you can see here, I just logged in into my Office 365 portal, and I can see a brand new tile called Work Management. When I click on Work Management, on the home page, I can very easily and very quickly have an overview of all the projects I am currently working on. There are some key KPIs associated with these projects. I can see the number of tasks left, and I can see as well the status of those tasks by color. On the right-hand side, on the task panel, that's where I can see all my tasks coming from my projects, but as well my private tasks coming from Exchange. But now, I'd like to have much more information about a specific project. Therefore, when I click on a specific tile, I go now to this new page, and from the top, you can see 3 different views. On the dashboard view, I can instantly see in the center who are the main people with tasks associated with this initiative, and I can see with the color the status of their tasks. On the right-hand side, that's where I can see a brief overview of the tasks associated with this initiative. But let's move on, and now I would like to see much further information about those tasks. That's where I click on the task list button. That will go into a new page. Now on this page you can see much more information about those tasks. On the right hand side I can see firstly all the information related to those tasks, and I can update those information which will be written back to my project plan. But I can as well start and initiate new conversations with my project team. And you can easily understand how that will help the project team to deliver better results more quickly. This feature will be built on the group feature of SharePoint Online. And now as well I can directly from the app share and collaborate on Office files with my project team. So we can share Word, Excel or PowerPoint documents and multiple edit them. Now, I would like to show you the taskboard view, which is a new view, which is a very simple concept where you can categorize tasks into multiple verticals or categories by status or by assignment. And this is very touch-friendly, which means you can move those tasks in order to update their status. Let's talk about Office Graph now for a few seconds and the integration with work management. Office Graph was implemented for our Office 365 customers last year in September, and Office Graph is a machine learning which understands what files are the most important for you. And Delve is just an application which helps you to visualize those information. And now, directly within Delve, I can add follow-up tasks to work management, and my project plan will be updated accordingly. So that was a very short explanation of the new features that will come for our project users. One thing which is important to let you know is that initially the application will be available for Windows, but we want to make this application available across any enterprise browser, plus as well across any platform or any mobile operating system such as Android and iOS.
What does EPT mean?
Enterprise project type. So that is it's a widely recognized term. It's something that Microsoft PPM employs. So enterprise project type. If you were to search for that, you will find quite a bit of material on that particular topic. But enterprise project type, just to explain, is effectively a template for different types of projects. So within the IT department, you might have a software development template, infrastructure template, So when somebody starts a new project, they first of all have to define what kind of project it is that they're about to embark upon. Based upon that, they'll be given a schedule for that kind of project, which they can obviously tailor. They'll also be put through a workflow that will guide them through the life cycle of that project. And that, in a nutshell, is an enterprise project type.
Can you change the type of project once it has been created?
Yes, you can. So what many organizations would probably do is have a generic enterprise project type to capture ideas, but it's only once it's been approved that you would then probably associate to a different enterprise project type and put it onto the correct path. But absolutely, you can do that.
The customization of the home page is something that a user can do without requirement from a consultant.
It is, but there's quite a few elements within Project Online and Project Server that would need to be configured, but where you might require some assistance from a consultant just to speed things up and obviously to provide some best practice guidance as well. But absolutely, doing things like customization and branding, that's something that's quite straightforward to do.
By putting all this information online, is this not an unnecessary risk of sensitive data becoming compromised, especially in highlighting of recent cybersecurity issues?
I mean, all we can really say is it's a very secure environment. You do also have the option of going with Project Server and keeping it all on-premise should you want to do that. But we've got a wide variety of organizations using Project Online, some of whom will definitely have confidential data. And they've completed all of their research and determined that Office 365 and Project Online is a safe and secure environment for their data.
Does this system support task estimating tools, benchmark standards?
The only scheduling tool that is really supported by Project Online is Microsoft Project Professional, whether that's 2013 or Project Pro for Office 365.
Are government secured projects supported in this system?
It's something that I think we might have to come back to you on. So if we could take a note of the question at the end, we will provide a formal response to that.
When moving tasks on team planners, how does it tell the resources of the tasks has been moved?
Oh, okay. So again, when I was playing around with the team planner, that was effectively a sandpit that I was playing in. It's not until you save and publish the project back to Project Online or Project Server that would actually take effect in the real world. So the rescheduling wouldn't show until I've republished. But at the time of republishing, the resources would receive an email alert, letting them know about the task. But again, when they come to Project Web App and they go to their task menu, they'd be able to see the amendments that have been made to the timings. Thank you, Sarah. I was also, on an ending note, just going to state that on the screen at the moment we're showing a slide with our contact details on. So should anybody want to get in contact with myself or Guillaume, our details are there. And of course, if you're interested in learning more, we've also provided a link where you can register your interest for further information.